Hello, it is I, Ramses the 800th. It's an honor to make your acquaintance, and today we're going to be doing a God Rambles on the Red Rangers reincarnated. And it makes me laugh. Basically, Red Ranger Isekai, right? We're covering the Red Ranger Isekai show. And before anything, before I go into detail, I just want to say if you like Power Rangers, if you like Isekai, if you like a little bit of fan service, not too much, if you like comedy, if you love all that stuff, watch this show. It has an English dub if you're not really too familiar with anime like that. There's an English dub. English dub is really good. And I recommend it. Go watch it, right? So that's before any of the spoilers. So now, if you have watched it already, or if you just don't care about spoilers like I don't, I'm going to start talking about it right now. So, Red Ranger Isekai is, like I said before, if you like Kamen Rider, if you like Power Rangers, if you like Super Sentai, watch this show is great because it makes reference and pokes fun at a lot of the stuff, a lot of the tropes in those series, and it adds that absurdity to the absurdity of like anime and just cranks it up to like a bun like it cranks it up a lot, right? So the main character is Kizuna Red or Togo, and he in the final battle of his basically his series, he kind of went up to the big bad evil guy and did like a really devastating Kizuna punch, a really devastating punch, and he got a giant explosion happened, and I don't think he died, but he got basically teleported to a world with magic and mythical creatures and all that stuff, right? And the series is formatted pretty interestingly. It's you're following Togo and what's the girl's name? Hold on. Yidra, who's the witch. You're following them as they travel and they meet new people, and they're basically Red is basically constantly trying to help people. His whole thing is about bonds and making bonds with people and how bonds are amazing. That's like the whole thing. And they have like a band-aid motif because bond, it's like healing stuff. It's pretty funny. I really want the bond changer because that looks so cool and it has like the oh my god, there's so many like tropes that you see if you love like this type of stuff. It's like you need these things right now, and it's so funny seeing Red, who is a generic like Red Ranger, where he's not the generic Red Ranger. He's the typical Red Ranger where he's like always nice, even though he's not the leader of his group, which is interesting. When he was in his Kizuna 5, but he's very happy. He's almost never he's almost never sad. He gets angry sometimes, but nothing too crazy, and he's always very quick on the like, oh yeah, we'll help everybody. Everyone's gonna be our friend. Blah blah blah. Bonds are amazing. Blah 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 blah. He's a generic Red Ranger, right? Uh, Yidra is kind of like the main. She is the main heroine, and she's the almost comic relief, kind of like a lot of the goofy stuff sometimes happens to her. The main like quartet, I guess is the correct thing, is it's Red, aka Togo, Yidra, who's the witch, Princess Teltia, and then Loji, who's like the knight. He's like the hero of the world. Um, so like in the show, Loji and Teltia are like trying to stop these like monsters that are appearing. And they I don't know what they're called. I don't remember the word for them, but they have like these little monsters and they basically feed off people and they become these giant creatures, right? You can beat them, but you need a special process that only Teltia has in order to like fully heal them. It's kind of weird, but you know. Loji is like obsessed with being Teltia's like helper. He's like absolutely insane, but it's pretty funny. I have to admit it's kind of funny seeing him like basically it's not really doting. It's more of like be obsessively obsessed with Teltia to the point where he's like I'm the only one that can help her. There's like a whole little conflict with that, but you know, he's like the reluctant friend for Red. He doesn't admit that he's Red's friend, but he is, you know. Maybe at first he wasn't, but like as the show goes on, he literally becomes his friend like that. There was also another character introduced later on called Rainia, Rainia, and she's the one that has the Kamen Rider like power, which is I call it it's the sun god Amon, and as somebody who loves Kamen Rider, who loves Super Sentai, who loves Egyptian themed things, as you can tell, I'm a god Pharaoh. I absolutely love the Amon suit. I love the what are they called? The patch ups, the her forms are all so cool. I also love Red, all of his like gimmicks, the explosion that's in the background that they make reference to. Oh my god, it's so good, right? Red Togo's pretty funny. I like the format that they do sometimes where it's like we don't really know too much about Red. Really, we find out more as as the season goes on, but like a lot of it's told like in flashbacks, where we get flashbacks to random episodes, and I love that it's random episodes that happen. Like it's like one time, uh, um, Red is like talking about how his stepbrother became Kizuna Killer, which is also a really funny trope that I love the way they do tropes because Kizuna Killer is his brother who felt betrayed because everyone's been focusing on Togo ever since he became a thing and he kind of regrets it. It's like a weird familial like thing. And Togo goes like, yeah, so we fought, I beat him and it was really cool, right? We fought and it was like my one time we had a good big conflict, right? And then Reina goes, "Oh, so that was the one time so you saved him. He didn't become Kizuna Killer ever again." And he goes, "Well, no, he became Kizuna Killer like 13 times in total, but after that he was fine, right? He was okay after that." Um and it's just they play on these tropes to like absurd degree like I'm trying to think of like the explosion whenever Red transforms. Everyone's like, "Why the hell is there an explosion behind him? That doesn't make sense." Uh, the gadget's very annoying because it keeps making like the noises, like the jingle noises for whenever he transforms. Whenever he puts into stuff, just really loud. Whenever whenever Red fought Amon, when Amon was being used by a bad guy, I forgot what his name was, Azir. When Azir had Amon, because he was a bad guy near the end of the season, when Azir had it, he used uh him and Togo fought, and it reminded me of well, a lot of the characters because they kept changing in and out of certain forms and certain powers, so it was just a jingle after jingle after jingle after as they kept fighting, and everyone was like, "Oh, these are like." Really obnoxious like the fighting between two people of other worlds are very obnoxious, right? And you know they're fighting, they're fighting, and it's really cool. I love the modes, I love the power-ups, I love the call-outs. Speaking of Amon, I'm going to talk about Amon because I really like Kamen Rider. Amon, the belt, the buckle, not okay. So when they said, "Oh, it's the Amon buckle," I almost had a heart attack, right? Because I know if you know anything about Kamen Rider, you would know that I believe before Decade, which is like the 10th Kamen Rider of the Heisei, I think Heisei era riders. They were called the power ups that they had, like the belts. They were called buckles, right? So you'd have the Agito buckle, you'd have the Decade buckle. I think it was Decade buckle. But later on they stopped being called buckles and started being called drivers. And after that, every single belt has been called a driver since, because I'm pretty sure it was double driver. Um, that's not what it's called. But the fact that they call it a buckle, and the craziest thing is the voice actor for the buckle in Japanese is the same voice actor for the buckle of Decade and like all the Decade related stuff. Hold on. I have, if you can't tell, I'm very excited. I have the Decade buckle. Let me turn this on. Hold on. I have the buckle, right? Listen to this. I have no idea if that picked up on my mic, but I have the buckle. If you didn't hear it, I was literally playing the sound for the buckle. And it's so funny that Decade's voice act like the voice actor for the belt is in it. When I heard it, I was like, no way, is that's not Decade, is it? Like the Decade buckle? But it was very fun. I loved this show so much. It's not even really it's not that fast, respectfully. It's it's pretty decently paced, like everything has enough time to like this world that he's in is very interesting. And Yidra's whole idea, like Yidra is trying to figure out the connection between their magic, the magic in this world, and the bond energy that Red uses, and there has to be a connection between it. And there's this scene. There's this scene. I think it might be like episode 6, like somewhere in the middle, where uh she has like a mana crystal that they found. It was very, they didn't know what it was, and she basically thought of Red, and Red was summoned. She was thinking about him in the shower, but she summoned Red. Red was there, and she's like, "Oh no, you're naked." Blah blah blah. And she was like, "Oh, it's very interesting that you were able to be brought here because I thought about you with the crystal." So they did like a whole test with Kizuna energy and stuff, and they, in the English dub, there's a in the English dub, there's like a line where he goes like, she's like, "Oh, I hope you don't get ready. I hope you're not gonna sleep." No, no, no. What was it? What was it? It was like, "Oh, I hope, uh, oh, whatever." Yidra says like a line is like, "Oh, you're not gonna get much sleep tonight," and then Red goes, "I'll try my best. I mean best." It's so funny. And then after that, they all basically, they're like in the capital for some reason. I don't remember why. They're in like the capital, and Yidra and Red, they're like awkward because like, that was pretty weird what happened last night. And Teltia goes, "Oh, is it possible you two?" And they censored it, and they put keys in a bond, like the sound effect, and everyone, they start talking about like, and it's obviously replacing "Did you guys do it?" Right? But they were she had such like a plain face when she said it. And both in English and Japanese, it's so funny because they keep replacing the word with bond merger. In English it's bond merger. In Japanese it's keys in a bond. It was so funny. And then one of the other witches, I don't remember. I don't really care what happened with her. She came in and she was like, "What are you guys talking about this early in the morning?" um, but yeah, this show's really funny. Um, and I also have a lot of questions about like Red himself, because early on in the series, when he first meets Yidra, Yidra's like, "Oh, you're from another world. That's really weird, right? What do you mean you're from another world? Your power is very foreign for us. We don't really know what it means, blah, blah, blah." And Red goes, "People from other worlds, or like other people from other worlds showing up is weird." When he says that, I don't know if he's saying it like, "Oh, it's weird for people to come in. I thought this was like a magical world." Or if he means like, "Oh, I've met people from other worlds. That's not weird to me." I I don't know how to like feel about it, because the way he said it sounds like he's met people from other worlds before, right? But I don't know. Um, and then like sometimes we get flashbacks to before he was isekai'd, and he says things that are very strange. Like I think they were covering He's in a Silver, I think, and he was in a fight, and he goes, "Oh my god, that thing from 1,000 years ago." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, Red? That doesn't make sense. What are you talking about for 1,000 years ago?" Like, there's a lot of things that are like obviously foreshadowing. When I first was watching the series, I thought it was kind of like a time loop almost, because Rainia, who's like Amon, is a part of like the elves, and the elves have like a belief that a person in a red like outfit is gonna come on and go, and it was just Red. It was obviously like talking about Red, and I thought it was maybe like a cyclical thing, because like this is before I think episode 7, and I was like, where do the beasts come from? If they all come from like the energy stuff, what does that mean? I thought like it could be like a, what is it, like reverse engineering of their own tech. Like Yidra and Red eventually make the Kizuna band, like the Kizuna Changers and like the Kizuna Beasts and then Kizuna Kaiser. I thought it was gonna go there, but we find out how they were made, so that kind of gets like, that's a moot point. But now I have a different theory, which is probably true. Um, where it was Silver, and I also find it very interesting that Silver was just Kizuna Silver, who's like a character that was talked about a lot and who's actually very important to Red's like person, as he is as a person. Um, Kizuna Silver was like a character, like basically the Sixth Ranger, right? Kizuna Silver was a Sixth Ranger. Red had a massive crush on her, and um, the other Kizuna 5 members were like, "Oh, we now know who what Red's type is. It's tomboy with big boobs, right?" I'm not gonna hold it to Red. He has good taste, right? And the reason she didn't want to join the team was because she foresaw that if she did, like, she would die and she didn't want to die, blah blah blah. But Red was like, "Oh, we'll change your fate." He didn't, and she died. So my theory, because I don't know anything that happens later on, my theory is that Silver was sent into that world after she died and kind of set things up for Red, kind of. But there's a lot of stuff there that lets you question what Red knows. And I kind of have another problem. I have a problem with like how the series goes, at least as of like the show. Keys in the Black. I love Keys in the Black. Right? It's his berserk form. It's like a emotional berserker where it just heightens his negative emotions. It makes him feel bad. There's like this really cool visual of like Togo's in his own head, and he's like, it feels like there's this open wound that no matter with how many bonds I cover it with, it just doesn't close. And it's like the band-aid motif is really cool. You wouldn't think band-aids would be like scary to look at, but it's like it's represented like this hole, and there's like a bunch of band-aids on it, like a heap of band-aids, and it's still like seeping out. And that's like a perfect analogy for like how Red is feeling in this moment, which is really cool. But my question is, in the show, Red is surprised that they get extra powers because there was one point where they have to do like magic, and Kizuna Kaiser, which is the giant mecha robot that they summon, is able to harness the magic of Yidra, and she kind of gets like the staff, and it's like a power up, right? And Red is surprised. He's like, I didn't know Kizuna Kaiser could do that. And in my head, I'm like, Red, you've had probably what 60 episodes of fighting with Kizuna Kaiser, fighting with your friends. You guys never got any power ups. You guys never got any auxiliary Zords. You guys never got anything like that. What? That doesn't make sense, right? And as like a Power Ranger thing, that's kind of like the staple, right? You get the Megazord, the Super Megazord, and the Ultra Zord, right? But as far as we know, at least as of now, I don't know if about later on in the series. As far as we know, it was only ever Kizuna Kaiser. Kizuna Red got no upgrades. None of the other Kizuna 5 got upgrades, and they kind of just went through things, right? They just walked through the path and they beat the big bad, right? For me, it would make a little bit more sense if it was like, oh, we have auxiliary stuff, but in the final battle they were like destroyed or like they were severely damaged and they were still repairing them. That would make sense. But they never experienced any like extra abilities, extra anything like that ever. It was pretty weird. But I do like Keys in a Black. I love berserker modes. I love berserk modes. One of my favorite things in Kamen Rider is what is it? Black Hazard. It was so Black Hazard, but it was like I know there's like qualifications for like berserk modes. It wasn't a shock clock berserker, which is like he didn't have reason and then lost it. He was kind of just like in an emotionally heightened state. Um and after okay, I believe that when he went into Keys in a Black, he should have just absolutely destroyed one of the bad guys they're fighting, right? I don't remember what they're called, like the Children of the Demon Queen or something, or Demon King. And I feel like Red should have just absolutely murdered one of them. Like he was doing some stuff, but he wasn't really that impressive. Like He's in a Black's first appearance was like okay. He did do a lot. Like he did like fuck up like the demons, but I feel like it could have been better. We did get hints at it later on, like before, when they were first fighting the first demon. I think who's voiced like I think it's the voice actor of Saitama, like the weird clown one. It's like a French name. I don't know. Um, Loji got really hurt and he kind of like took an attack, and then Red was like ramping up. He was about to turn into Keys in a Black, but he kind of like drew it back. But after he saved Loji, he kind of talked to him a little later, and he goes up to Loji. He's hugging him, right? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm really happy that you're okay. Never do that again." Right? He says it in like a really deep, scary voice, and you go, "Whoa, Red! Like, what the fuck was that about?" But we find out that it's because Red has like uber trauma with the death of Silver. Like he can't handle losing friends like that. And we also know that's also because his parents, when he was really young, died too. So he has a really hard time breaking his bonds. And it it makes sense, but also it kind of doesn't, because they bring up Kizuna Black before he gets sent to the other world, right? Like his friends are like, "Oh, Kizuna Black is a really dangerous power." He never used Kizuna Black in his universe. That's so baffling to me, right? Because usually you would like I'm obviously going based off like tropes in the stuff. It's so weird that he didn't use Kizuna Black at all in the other world, in his home world, right? It's so weird that they didn't get any auxiliary swords. Like, I don't know how strong the Kizuna Rangers are, the Kizuna Five were, but that's so strange to me that it just didn't. It wasn't like that, right? But I also don't like how after the whole so Kizuna Red fought the two demons. After he basically killed one in black form, he was still raging out, right? He was still like he was still like deep in emotions, right? So when he transformed, he was basically focused on the people around, like the two demons that were obviously hurting his friends. And then afterwards, he wasn't really attacking everyone. He was kind of just like indiscriminately destroying things. Like he had like his band-aids kind of turned into these spires, and the spires were kind of just popping up everywhere, right? And it was like he was slamming the ground, right? Bang, bang, bang. And his friends were like, "We need to stop Togo," right? Um, and they do like a little scuffle. They're all fighting as much as they can. Amon's there, Loji, Taltia, Yidra. They're all trying their best to stop Red. And Loji kind of gets like stabbed in the shoulder because Red's like has his spires, and they rip off the changer, and he turns back. Right, he's knocked out for like a few days, and then when he wakes up, he's all smiles. Right, he's all happy, he's all smiles, and that doesn't feel right to me because he goes on like this little rant where he's like, "Oh, I realize now that I actually have really good bonds here," and that feels kind of hollow because it would make more sense if he was distraught at what he did, because his whole thing is about having bonds, having like caring about the people around him, and he basically almost hurt all the people he cares about. You know, yeah, his whole thing is like bonds aren't that weak, but it's still, this would have been the moment to show Red show some form of other emotion except for happy or angry. You know, he could have been like crying and be upset when he's like, "Oh, I can't believe I almost hurt you guys. I can't believe I did hurt you guys." Right? Uh, that's not what I'm supposed to be, blah 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 blah. And he's crying, right? He doesn't have to be like full on bawling, but he could be like sniffling, like he's obviously like very upset at what happened. And then his friends go, "No, Togo, it's okay. We understand where you were coming from. We're just glad that you're all right." Boom, 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 right? And then he goes, "Oh, I realize now I have good bonds," right? Because otherwise, it doesn't feel like he earned saying that. Like obviously they're good friends, but like I don't know. It's just how my brain works. Um, but yeah, it was the fights in the show are really good too. I'm surprised at how high budget a lot of the stuff is. Like almost every episode, we get Kizuna Kaiser, and Kizuna Kaiser is this giant CG mecha, and he's doing crazy stuff, right? And I'm very surprised because that can't be like, and it's like a legit model. They don't really reuse. They reuse some assets, right? They reuse the sword. They reuse the summoning motion, like them coming, them whoa. um, they reuse the summoning of the sword. They reuse the summoning of the Kizuna Beast and the merging the Kizuna Kaiser. They reuse all of that, but everything else is like actually animated, like him fighting the giant demon in the sky, him fighting the sand that Amon becomes, him fighting, him doing the giant spell. Like the animation's just really good. They, of course, obviously, stock footage. That's also the thing. The reusing of animations when it comes to like magic, when it comes to sword transformations, any transformation that's not like dynamic. Um, it's very obviously it's stock footage. But if you like Power Rangers, if you like Super Sentai, if you like Kamen Rider, you're used to that, right? You're used to the transformation sequences, the combining of the Kizuna Buster, I think it was the giant gun. Oh, that was so funny. Okay, but like they reuse a lot of those assets or a lot of those like animations, which makes sense, save money. But also this show and this manga is like Square Enix affiliated, which I'm surprised at. Like the manga, I think you can read in Square Enix website if you like signed up to it, and the show is like a Square Enix creation, which is very interesting. But that's just so weird to me. Like it's like Square Enix, the people who make Final Fantasy, is like affiliated with this. I don't know. I want to pick up the manga because it's very interesting. But yeah, I really like the show. I know I kind of went on a little bit of a negative tangent, but that's more of like criticism, less negative. Whatever. Um, One other critique I have, but I like it's not really a critique. It's more of like a nitpick where I was like, I would have liked if Amon wasn't a person of this world, because they say that the power itself, the power of Amon is not from this world, right? It's the same as Red. It's similar to Red's power. Um, I don't know if they explain it later on in like the manga or not. I don't know if you guys can like tell me if you guys have read it or not, but I don't know. It just rubs me weird that Amon isn't from another world too, because like you can't really have Super Sentai without Kamen Rider. It's a very weird dynamic. Uh, you can have them separate, yes, but in the grand scheme of things, they're intrinsically linked. You know, I think one of my favorite examples is Decade and Marvelous. Anytime there's something with, I know recently in the world of Sentai, right? We have the new Sentai series, which is the number one Sentai. I don't remember what it's called, but the number one Sentai, right? Um, and in the number one Sentai, there was a preview for it, which was all the other legacy slash anniversary series. The Legend, Anniversary 4, now Anniversary 5, were basically initiating Red, number one Sentai Red. I don't know his name. Something Wolf. I haven't watched that one yet, but that entire special was basically Decade and Marvelous beefing with each other, and I love that beef so much, and that's why I love the fight between Red and Amon, because it reminded me of whenever Marvelous and Decade fought, constantly switching powers, constantly fighting each other, all the jingles, all the noises, all the all the special effects, everything. And I kind of wish that Amon was a person from another world too, and I wish that Togo knew them because I think that would be very interesting. Again, mainly because of that point I brought up before, where Togo sounds like he knows other people from other worlds, but I just think it'd be very interesting because you can have a dynamic where it's like, oh, well, we have a bond from across time and space, right? And that bond is strong enough to keep us together even though we're apart. And it's kind of, I don't know, you could probably do something with that, but it might be a little too complicated because then you have to explain where this guy came from, what his powers are like, what he's doing, right? And if he doesn't join the group, what is he doing while you're not there, right? It's I feel like it would increase the story, but it can also make it a lot more complicated, especially since we already have Amon. But I don't know. It's that one line that throws me off where Red's like, "You people from other worlds are weird, right?" I don't know. Um, but yeah, there's a there. I did have a question that was answered in the series. I was wondering like, so Red is in another world, right? That was weird. So Red is in another world, right? If he's in another world, where is his like people? Like where do the beasts come from? The Kizuna beasts. There is like this Kizuna energy, and I thought that Kizuna energy was kind of like almost like a pocket dimension, kind of like Hammer Space, where it's like, oh, I can summon the beasts from the Kizuna, just basically create them whenever I want, right? But that wasn't the case, and they bring it up in the at the end of the series at the end of the season, where they're like, oh yeah, the Kizuna beasts have just been disappearing occasionally and then reappearing right back. And his team, the other Kizuna Five, were like, we know Togo's summoning them because Togo's not around, his body's not there, and the Kizuna beasts keep disappearing periodically, right? So we know that Togo is summoning the Kizuna beasts. In my head, I'm like, Togo, if you wanted to go back, I don't know how the Kizuna beasts teleport, but if they can trans-dimensionally teleport, hop in the Kizuna beast and have it teleport you home, right? That's like a way to solve that problem, but we know why he doesn't want to go home because there's problems in this world and he wants to solve it, right? But his friends can easily solve that problem by doing that. right? They can hop in the Keys on the Beast, wait until he summons them, which he does regularly, and then just go to that world for a little bit. And then if they want to go home, hop in the Keys on the Beast again and transport back. I don't see why that wouldn't be a possibility. I know why Togo wouldn't want to do it, because obviously he wants to help that place. He wants to be there to help them, right? Obviously. But his friends, they can obviously do that. That seems like a possibility unless they explain otherwise. Um, but yeah, I know. Like I said, this is more of ranty. I'm not gonna do too much edit. This is gonna be no editing. I'm tired. But I just really love anything to do with Power Rangers, anything to do with Kamen Rider. This series really scratched that itch. I'm gonna go watch number one Sentai now because I haven't. I need to catch up with it. Um, and yeah, do you guys like Power Rangers? Do you guys like Kamen Rider? What's the most recent series you guys have watched? If you guys have watched that little special for the number one Sentai, I recommend watching. It's really funny. I recommend watching this. What do you guys recommend to watch? Any other anime you guys are watching that you want me to talk about? You can put it in the comments. Any Sentai, Kamen Rider adjacent things you want me to watch? Put it in the comments. I'll cover those too. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. For even for a second, even for a minute, I appreciate all of you. And I'd like to bid you all a farewell.